Hey guys! Today I'm going to be making a video that's a little bit different than videos I've made before. Warning you right now, it's probably going to be pretty long. So if you want to stick with me through it, thank you. But I wanted to fully explain my anxiety and my battle with it. The reason why I want to make a video about this is because I've gotten a lot of messages over the years on Tumblr, on Facebook, and Twitter, in the mail, my P.O. box, from people who say that I inspire them and I help them with their own anxiety or depression. And it really touches my heart, and I've cried more than a couple of times over these kind of messages, because it seems like these messages that I get from you guys come at a time when I'm feeling really low myself, and you pick me up. So it's kind of interesting how a message where you say, I help you, is a message that really, really helps me too. So I want to thank you for anybody who's ever sent me an encouraging message like that. Yeah. So I'll start from the beginning, which is a long time ago, and I'll explain. I'm not going to cut this vlog because I want it to be kind of like real, I guess. I want you guys to kind of see, instead of just like the cuts into like the perfect vlog, I want you to see, like, I don't know, like right now how I'm just struggling over my words. Something real. And this doesn't mean I'm stopping my channel. This doesn't mean I'm going to stop doing covers. This doesn't mean anything like that. I just want you to kind of know right now specifically because I was on Tumblr and I saw a post from a while ago that someone made discussing how they really looked up to me and they really felt bad that I was going through anxiety and depression. I assume this was made back in November when I made that post on my Facebook saying that I was going to take a break because I was going through a lot at that time. To be honest, looking back on it, I was still going through a lot when I decided to come back and make videos about a week later, but the reason why I came back to make video is because I actually had a sponsorship video that I had to make, so I figured I just might as well come back. But I should have taken a longer break. I just want you guys to not worry. Just from the very beginning, I don't want you to watch this video thinking, oh my gosh, is she gonna like disappear? Is she gonna stop making videos? Don't worry about that. I won't, okay? I'm gonna still make K-pop cover dances. I'm gonna try even harder, actually. I think after getting all this out, maybe you'll understand why. I don't know. But, yeah, so I guess I'll start from when I started to get anxiety. I've had 2 panic attacks in my life before 2010. One when I was like 11 or 12. I think I was 12. And I was just sitting in my room in New Hampshire, and I wasn't doing anything to cause it really. I was just sitting there, and all of a sudden, for anybody that's had panic attacks before, or even one panic attack before, knows the feeling of a panic attack, and I cannot express in words. You guys who have felt it know how hard it is to express in words what a panic attack feels like physically, emotionally, mentally. It just feels like pure red hot terror. So basically I'm sitting there and I just get this overwhelming feeling of dread and doom, and I start hyperventilating, my heart starts beating really fast, and I think that something's physically wrong with me because I'm just like, whoa, this is out of nowhere. I go to my mom and I lay next to her and she makes me feel better, and it goes away after a while, because basically a panic attack is unneeded and unwanted adrenaline getting pulsed into your body just randomly. Sometimes there'll be like a trigger Other times I'll just be feeling it out of nowhere and I don't know why. But yeah, essentially that's what it is. Imagine you just ran like a mile. You know, the adrenaline that kicks in after you start getting like really active, or the adrenaline that kicks in when you get really scared about something. Like someone scares you from behind, you're like, oh my gosh. And then your heart starts beating and you start like kind of shaking a little bit. That's what a panic attack feels like. But worse, because there's like mental problems going on at the same time telling you that you're gonna like pass out or you're gonna die or you're gonna have a heart attack. It's just, oh, it's just so bad. Another time I had it was in high school when I was watching a horror movie in the movie theater. It was The Haunting of Molly Hartley, which I still say is the worst horror movie ever made. Please don't waste your time watching that movie. So maybe I just had the panic attack because the movie was so bad. Probably not. But yeah, I had another one that I remember feeling just that feeling of dread just washed down over me. And I was just like, and I remembered when I was like 12, I was like, this feels like when I was 12 again. And I just sat there in silence and I tried so bad to just get rid of it. And I was like, it's going to go away. It's going to go away. It's going to go away. And it did eventually go away. Now, besides those 2 times, I never felt anxiety in my life until in June 1st, 2010, I got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And really quickly, for people who don't know, type 1 diabetes is very different from type 2 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune disorder, which means that some people, some doctors, most doctors believe that you're born with a predisposition to an autoimmune disease. And what happened was I got sick with just a random virus. It can be, of the flu or something. Just a virus where your body needs to fight it off. And what happens is my immune system, instead of fighting off the bad cells, like the virus, it fought off the virus, plus it killed the beta cells in my pancreas, which are good cells that you need because the beta cells produce insulin, which you need to survive. So it killed all my cells that produce insulin, and I don't produce insulin anymore. So I need to be on an insulin pump 24/7. I changed it every 3 days. I'm constantly needing insulin therapy, and I would literally die without insulin. So when I was diagnosed with it, I didn't have any comprehension of what diabetes was. And my dad, I remember calling my dad on the phone, or he called me and said he was on his way to the hospital to meet me, because I went to like a regular checkup, and she's like, oh wow, you've got diabetes, we got to get you to the ER. And I was like, well, what the fuck, like what the fuck, like what is my life? And I get there and I'm like in shock. I'm not really sad or anything. I'm just literally like I'm laughing. Do you guys ever get like that where you're just so like uncomfortable or like in shock, or you just don't know what to do because the situation is just so like what, that you're just like yeah. You're just like, why am I laughing? It's not even a funny, it's serious. But I remember laughing and like joking around a lot. And I talked to my dad on the phone, and he's like, they make, just pills that you can take for diabetes. Most likely it's not a big deal, Heather. You'll probably just take some pills, take a pill every day and you'll be fine. But my whole family at the time, like no one in my family had diabetes. No one. So we didn't understand at the time that there's 2 different kinds of diabetes. There's type 1 and type 2. Type 2 is the kind that can be treated with pills and not insulin. Type 1, you have to treat with insulin. You have to be on an insulin pump or insulin injections. Otherwise, you will die. You will actually literally die without insulin injections or a pump if you're type 1. And type 1 is not caused by eating incorrectly. I cannot stress that enough. I get a little bit annoyed, but I get it because not everyone's like educated with what diabetes is. When people are like, oh, well then, either, oh, you never ate bad before, so why did you get diabetes? Or people who are even meaner, who are just like, oh, wow, well, you must have been really unhealthy then to get diabetes. And I'm just like, and yeah, I had a boyfriend's mom once tell her son that she didn't want him dating me because I was unhealthy and didn't take care of myself, and I got diabetes, which hurt a lot. A lot. Because, I mean, I was a cheerleader, I was a dancer, I did track and field. I didn't eat like 20 cakes a day, you know? You don't get diabetes at 19 years old by eating sweets. I mean, that's as clear as I can say it. Sorry, that just bothers me a little bit. But I do understand people don't understand diabetes, because I myself did not understand it when I got it. But I do have an autoimmune disorder. There's nothing I could have done in my life, and the nurses and the doctors told me this because I felt really bad. They were stressing that there's nothing I could have done to stop this disease, to stop myself from getting this disease. It just happened. I just got it. And it sucks. And it's incurable. And I have to live with it for the rest of my life unless a cure does happen to come about. I was in the hospital for 4 days while they regulated my blood sugar down. For people who are diabetic, who are wondering what my blood sugar was when I was admitted, it was only 350. Very high, but very low compared to what people are usually admitted to the hospital with type 1. So people are admitted at like 600, 700, 850 number for blood sugar. And for people who aren't diabetic, the normal range for blood sugar is like 65 to like 115. And mine was at 350. And like other people go to the hospital like throwing up in a coma and stuff at like 850. And it's just really scary how fast your blood sugar can get up there too. Like I'll eat a banana, and if I forget to take insulin, like it'll get up to like 450 super fast, and it's just really scary. I'm telling you all this because this is the basis, this is the starting point of my anxiety, and it just sucks a lot. My anxiety is particular to health anxiety. I know there's different facets of anxiety. There's social anxiety. There's very specific, like you just phobias of certain things. There's general anxiety where you just all the time feel anxious about anything, like a test is coming up, a date is coming up. Oh my gosh, I'm like way more anxious than I should be for this job interview kind of anxiety. But mine is like very physical. I'll feel something and I'll react to that with anxiety. I will think something in my head to the point where I'll start feeling that thing and I'll freak out. Or I'll notice my blood sugar is like abnormally low or going really low, and I'll start freaking the hell out because I don't want to pass out or go into like a seizure. Oh, okay. So I got diagnosed. I was in the hospital for 4 days. They regulated my blood sugar. I was released into the wild world after they made sure that I got some kind of like diabetes education while I was in the hospital. So I remember like within the first 30 minutes of being in the hospital, they gave me a needle with just water, or it was like saline. There we go. With saline, which is basically water, in it, so they could teach me how to give myself a shot immediately. Like they literally, before they even came back with a test that said, hey, you're type 1 diabetic, it was basically like they took my blood sugar. Oh, you're diabetic for sure, but now we got to figure out which type 1 or type 2. And every doctor and every nurse just looked at me and was like, you're type 1. We don't even have to think about it, because type 2 is something you get when you're older usually, or when you're usually more heavy set. So if you get someone who's 19 and skinny, it's type 1 diabetes 99.9% of the time. So she's like, okay, here's how to use a needle. Like I was just thrown into this world. Talk about turning your world upside down. There it is right there. You are just like one day, like 2 days before that, I was like hiking a mountain. And then I'm just thrown into this like, oh, by the way, you're not invincible. Your body's not perfect. Your body's kind of like really, really like sensitive and kind of made of glass and really not that healthy. Whoop, there's your life. Like you don't know anything about anything anymore. Good luck. Into the world you go. So I got released from the hospital And I was still in shock because I was happy. I was positive, and I thought I could handle this. But I'd only been diabetic for 4 days. After, I don't know, 2 weeks, I was crying every day. Every single day. There was one fit I had where I cried so hard I almost passed out because I couldn't breathe. I just, sorry. I don't like talking about it. Okay. It's just like I've gone like a long way from that, and I don't like thinking about how I was back then because it was so scary and so, yeah. Sorry. I haven't thought about that in a while. I was just really, oh God, stop crying. I was really scared about what my life was gonna be. I was scared of low blood sugar. That was like my biggest fear in the beginning. It's just like, what if I can't feel my blood sugar going low and I pass out, or I have a seizure in my sleep because I can't feel it going low and I don't wake up. If your blood sugar goes low, you're supposed to eat sugar to bring it up. That's why that's why you see diabetics a lot of the time with like glucose tablets with them, like in their purses or whatever, or just like little glucose shots, gels. For me personally, I like to carry around a bottle of soda because if I notice it going low, I can just chug soda really fast and it raises it up, and it makes me feel better to have that near me. And if your blood sugar is high, you just take insulin to bring it down. But when your blood sugar is high, it's not as dire emergency-ish as low blood sugar, because your low blood sugar is like, if you don't drink sugar within the next 5 minutes, you could pass out and go into convulsions, or you just pass out, and if no one's around to help you, like, it's really scary. But if your blood sugar is high, just you feel tired, you feel thirsty, you go pee a lot, you know, it's like, okay, I'll take some insulin in an hour or so, it'll come back down, I'll be all right. It's more like you can't keep your blood sugar high for a long time. That's when you start getting like the diabetic neuropathy, which is nerve damage. You can go blind, you can get arms and legs amputated, a stroke, heart attack. Those are the things that diabetes does to you after a long time of having it. And I remember one of the diabetes educators once told me that sometimes no matter how well you take care of your diabetes, even if you keep it in really good control, just sorry, just being diabetic means that you'll most likely have one of those outcomes. Sorry. So I hope there's a cure soon. That'd be kind of nice. I'm going over the diabetes thing a lot, I know. This video might be called Anxiety and Diabetes. I don't know. But I'm talking about it so much because it's the entire reason why I have anxiety, you know? Because like I said, all my anxiety is health related now. And it was a couple weeks, I'd say probably 3.5 weeks or so after I was diagnosed, towards the end of June of 2010, when I got my first, I wouldn't really call it a panic attack, I would just call it kind of like a mild anxiety attack. I was sitting on my bed reading something, and nothing really triggered it. I just, how do I really look? Okay, no, I don't look as bad as I thought I looked. I don't have my glasses out, so everything's super blurry. I was sitting on my bed, and I just, again, got that sinking feeling, but along with that sinking feeling, it was a little different this time. I felt wired, kind of like I just chugged like a cup of coffee. You know that feeling where you feel like your body's like this, but I held my hands out and I was still, but I felt like my nerves inside like vibrating, if that makes sense at all. And so my heart was beating, there was dread, and I felt just very like, whoa. I like braced myself against my bed. I went downstairs and I was like, hey, my mom and dad were downstairs. I was like, Mom, Dad, I don't know what's going on. I just feel really weird all of a sudden. Can you just like be around me to like maybe distract me from what I'm feeling? I don't really know what it is. Just help me out. And eventually it went away. And it didn't get too bad. It just kind of went away and I didn't think about it. And then I had my first panic attack of many on July 4th. I would remember because it's a holiday, you know, Independence Day for America. July 4th, because I was at work that day. I was working until about 4 o'clock that day. And towards the end of my shift, around 3:30, I noticed feeling exactly what I'm feeling right now, actually. I'm not going to lie, talking about anxiety makes me anxious, but don't worry because I want to talk about it. I want you guys to know this story, okay? So just don't worry about me. I'm fine. I'm good. I started to, my throat started to tighten. Not actually, well, maybe it does actually tighten. I don't freaking know. Like right now, my chest feels tight because I'm anxious. But when I was working this panic attack, my throat was tightening and my chest was tightening. So I kind of felt like I was like breathing like that. Even in reality, if I stopped freaking out for a second and like breathe normally, I'd realize that I was breathing fine. But I was starting to hyperventilate is what was happening. I was hyperventilating and I did not know what was going on. I got very scared because at this point I had a couple of just like really intense blood sugar scares. Like my blood sugar had gotten down to like 42 at one point. That was really scary. I woke up in the middle of the night with it really low, and it was just waking up shaking is not fun. And like I just was getting used to this whole lifestyle of like my blood sugar is just, and I felt really unhealthy, and I didn't trust my body to do anything right anymore on its own. After, you know, you think you're invincible, and then you get some kind of horrible diagnosis like this, and you realize that you are really not invincible. You're made of glass. Life is so like, what's the word? Life is so fragile. So if you're healthy, please hold on to that. It's really important. Anyway, I freaked out at work, is what I'm trying to say. I didn't know what was going on. My vision got blurry. I got lightheaded. Got lightheaded because I was hyperventilating, of course. Didn't know that at the time. And I just got really scared. The dread came, you know, I started like internally shaking again, and it just was like a full-on short but still really bad panic attack. And I asked my boss if I could just leave. I said, I don't know what's going on with me. I feel like really, I just started freaking out in front of my boss. My boss was like, are you okay to drive? And I was like, I'm fine. I'm good. I'm okay. And I probably looked so not okay to drive, but I was okay to drive actually. I needed to get out of the building. As soon as I walked out of the building into like the open air, it like halfway went away, you know? So after that, I was okay for the rest of the day, but it was like a downhill spiral at that point. By September, I was getting at least a panic attack a day, if not 2, maybe 3 some days if it was bad. And I'm not talking about like right now when I'm just like, you can probably hear my breathing right now, I'm anxious. I'm not talking about like, oh, you know, I get a couple of those episodes a day. I'm talking about panic attacks so bad. I'm going to start crying, I swear to God, talking about this because this is a huge deal to me. When I tell people that I get panic attacks or I have panic disorder, I think a lot of people don't understand what I mean. I mean panic attacks so bad that you cannot think, you cannot talk, you cannot walk straight. I've walked into walls before, I've walked into people before, I've screamed at people before, I've gotten tunnel vision, I've gotten lightheaded, my throat closes up, my chest closes up. I feel this sense of dread. I start shaking. I have to brace myself against walls, against furniture. I have to call people on the phone. I've called my parents, family, friends multiple times to ask them to take me to the emergency room. I've driven myself to the emergency room for a panic attack. Sometimes I just hold on to something, and I just, in my mind, it takes all of my willpower to tell myself that I'm going to survive it. That's how bad I'm talking about. And picture that 2 or 3 times a day. That's what I was feeling in the fall of 2010. It was really tough. I couldn't go to school. So I dropped out of school. Not dropped out, but like I, took time off of school, I guess is a better way of saying it. Because I started to get agoraphobia, which is like the fear of leaving your house. It's like whenever I went out in public, I would immediately start hyperventilating and just get a panic attack immediately. It's like the only place I felt safe was like in my room. On certain days, sometimes I would get dizzy and get lightheaded from anxiety just walking down the stairs of my own house. It just depended on the day. So what I say next is something I don't tell anybody, except I only tell like my boyfriends or my very close friends, but I don't think it's anything to be ashamed of. So that's why I'm telling you guys all of this. I know I have subscribers who have anxiety problems and depression and feel like they don't have anybody to talk to, or feel that they're weird, or they're the only ones that feel it that bad. But especially anxiety. I mean, I do have depression to an extent, but it's mild. But when it comes to anxiety, I really, really want everyone to know that's watching this that my anxiety is severe. And it used to be whatever step was above severe, it used to be that. But right now, I don't actually, that's a lie. I've gotten better at that. It's not severe anymore. It used to be beyond severe. And then I've been able to recently get it down to probably about moderate. But every now and then I still, have my attacks. But I would say moderate is where it's at now. But I need you to know that I know what it feels like to be like it's worse than severe. I understand so well what it feels like to have severe anxiety. Oh, that's my train of thought. Yeah. So what I'm about to say is something that I regret and wish I had never done, but it is what it is, and I'm in this boat now. I've been dealing with it and I hate it, but because of what I've explained to you, I'm sure you can probably see that I was literally unable to function in life. I was not only dealing with a new debilitating disease that I was trying to control. You have to keep your blood sugar low but stable, so it's like a freaking seesaw every day of your life. It's beyond, diabetics will understand. It's so hard to keep that thing steady. I'm gonna grab this safety pin to play with while I do this. Just calm me down. I didn't know what else to do, so I went to my doctor and I asked her if there's any medicine I can take for this, because and when I went to the doctor, I had to have I think it was my mom or my dad drive me there, because I couldn't drive anymore. I was 20, obviously I had my driver's license, but I physically couldn't drive in a car. I just could not function. So, especially being in a doctor's office again was very stressful for me. But I knew I wanted to go, and I wanted to ask if there's anything that I could do, because I needed a life again. It had been a couple months of just non-existent life. And people were suggesting to me, like my family suggested, maybe medication will help you if it's really, really bad right now, and it'll help you, in conjunction with therapy to get past it. So I was in therapy for, cognitive behavioral therapy for my panic disorder. But I was also prescribed Xanax, which I was taking during that time. Not a lot of Xanax, to be honest. I was really sensitive to it, so a very small amount went a long way, luckily. But I started to rely on it, where like anytime I had a panic attack, instead of using cognitive behavioral therapy, because that's the hard way, that's the way to cure it, I used the Band-Aid, which is the Xanax. Xanax is literally like, okay, here's your issue, the fact that you can't get over the fact that you have diabetes, and that's giving you extreme anxiety to the point where you're having panic attacks. So it's like me having diabetes and trying to deal with that raised my anxiety levels in general. So even when I wasn't having panic attacks, I was still anxious all day long. And then it would be like anxious, panic attack, anxious, okay, a little bit less, panic attack, and it was just horrible. And the Xanax really helped me. With that said, don't ever take Xanax. Don't ever do it. You don't do it. Don't. I wish I'd never taken it, because all I was doing was taking the escape route, I guess you can say. And this isn't to say like, oh, if you take Xanax you're like a weak person. No, that's not true. If you take Xanax, it's because you yourself feel like there's no other option. And I know that feeling. I still take Xanax to this day. Seriously, I'm not joking. I still take Xanax. 5 years later. 5? 2015? Yeah. 5 years later. And when I get a panic attack, I try my best to deal with it in my mind, because I know this is where it's coming from. It's not my body necessarily. It's my mind thinking too much. And that's what's causing it. So I try really hard to deal with it through thought. But, I still carry around Xanax, because sometimes I don't have the luxury of being able to, like, walk out of the room or walk away from something and, do deep breathing exercises and things like that. Sometimes I'm just like, I have an interview in like 20 minutes. I need to calm down. That kind of thing. I don't like that I still take Xanax. I hate saying that I do. I really hate that fact about me. But it's still bad. So I know that I still need that in certain situations. Anyway, so in 2010, September 2010 is when I started taking Xanax. And once I started taking it, I noticed that I was able to, relax enough to be able to be pretty functional in life again. And the therapy was obviously helping too. So it got to the point where my anxiety was probably like severe to moderate kind of level, where I every time I left the house, I just kind of thought to myself, when and where am I going to have my panic attack today? And I was about down to like maybe 4 panic attacks a week or something like that, as an estimate, for a while. I noticed that things that trigger my anxiety at the time were big crowds. So malls were really, really hard for me. Being trapped somewhere, not like physically trapped, but like mentally trapped, like a classroom where you're like, oh my God, if I get up to go to the bathroom again, everyone's going to stare at me. But like, I need to get up and I cannot breathe in this room. I'm going to die. I can't breathe. I'm freaking out. Oh my God. That's why it took me so long to finish college, because I had to take off 3 semesters due to anxiety. And I would pay for the semester, go to classes, and then drop out, because I thought I could do it. I was like, you know what? I'll conquer my anxiety. I can absolutely do this. And I can't tell you how many times during tests and stuff, I would just run out of the room. Yes, that actually has happened many times. I have run out of classrooms because I couldn't breathe or think, and I would start having a panic attack. Because I would always try to get the seat closest to the door, so like if I needed to like step out, I could just do it really quickly while the teacher's not looking or something like that. But all my classes, because I was an East Asian studies major, were small. Nobody really chose that as their major. It's not like I was, economics or engineering or business or something with it where there's like, big lecture halls that you usually have your classes in. No, of course it was like 10 people in my class. So I'm like, damn it. And it sucked. I had to tell my teachers that I had anxiety problems, and they were all very understanding. They were like, whenever you need to step out, go ahead, step out. And it was amazing. Every time I would like get an anxiety attack in class, I would step out and immediately feel relief. Like the second I stepped into that hall and shut that door, I'd be like, oh God, I can finally breathe again or see straight again. It was just a very bizarre thing. I hate the feeling of being trapped, which is why I'm terrified of airplanes still, because an airplane is essentially, in my mind, a flying classroom. Like a flying vestibule that I cannot escape from because it's in the sky. Like my escape on an airplane is the bathroom and shutting the door and just sitting there like this, hoping I'm not going to have like a grade A panic attack right then and there and start hyperventilating and like die. I know I'm just going off on so many tangents right now, but I think it's probably a good way to explain to you how my anxiety is, because I'm like, I don't want to write down on a piece of paper, so, and then this year it was this, and then this happened, and this happened, and this happened. I just need to be real with you guys. I just need to be super real. So, I started my YouTube channel, this YouTube channel, in 2012. Well, technically it says on there that it started in 2006, but that was like when I created it in high school for uploading pictures of like my animals running around the house. So I started my K-pop like cover dance channel in 2012. I uploaded, I think, maybe 2 covers in 2011 towards the end maybe. But I didn't fully get into it when I started until I did, I think, Kara's Step or like Bubble Pop or something. But I can confidently say, I don't know how to word this next part. This next part's important. I love dancing, and it is my passion. And it's one of the passions, if not the only passion, that I did not give up when I got diabetes. Because I became too scared to, do tumbling or gymnastics anymore. I became too scared to be too physically active because that lowers your blood sugar to dangerous levels if you're not careful. And to me, I was just too freaking scared to even take the chance. But for some reason, I couldn't stop dancing, and I kept that. And when I was introduced to K-pop, I incorporated that and made the YouTube channel, and this YouTube channel was a great escape for me. It helped distract me from my own mind, which was really overactive. And for a long time, it was fantastic. I mean, I'm talking about like the beginning days, the Bubble Pop, the Nine Muses Wild, everything probably leading up to the fall of 2013 when I went to Korea to compete in the Gangnam Festival. That was all great. My anxiety started kicking up again in the fall of 2013 because I remember fall of 2013 was one of those semesters where I started school and then dropped out because I got too anxious. I wasn't able to drive to school. That's the reason why I had to drop out, is because the school was about 25 minutes away, and I remember I would drive like maybe 10 minutes, get a panic attack, and have to come home and be like, well, I guess I'm not going to class today. And that happened so much that I just had to drop out of class, all of them, because I couldn't even get to them. I mean, I'm truly thankful that I never have gotten into an accident in the car, because I've gotten so many panic attacks in the car, and it's just, oh my God. I keep saying panic attacks, but I want you to understand I'm not using the term loosely. Like, these were full-on panic attacks that I was getting. where I would think I was having a heart attack or I was going to pass out or something terrible was going to happen to me. And this was happening so often. So I almost didn't get on the plane to go to Korea. That's how scared I was of flying. I get this amazing opportunity, and I literally, my mind was telling me, don't do it. Don't get on the plane. Don't. Just, it's not worth it. You're too scared. It's just too horrifying. But I did it. I forced myself to, and I was okay. I did not have a panic attack on the plane. So, thank goodness for that. I get back from Korea, and I keep dancing, and about I'd say 6 months, 8 months, 10 months ish later, I notice something happening to me. I notice that I'm starting to get panic attacks. I don't think I'd call them panic attacks. I noticed that I was starting to get anxiety attacks while covering dances, like during filming them. You know, I'd get them sometimes practicing too. It's because I noticed that I had more stress than normal. I don't know how to word this next part. I'm sorry, guys. I wasn't dancing alone anymore. And dancing alone, I felt more comfortable because if I ever did feel off physically, I could just take a quick break and I wouldn't feel obligated or uncomfortable or like I'm inconveniencing somebody. That was not the case anymore. I started to worry that I was inconveniencing people, even though I knew in the back of my mind that I wasn't, because it was not a big deal, because people didn't even notice it, but I felt it. So I thought, oh, well, I must be like inconveniencing the people I'm dancing with. But I wasn't. It was just, I physically was starting to get stressed out. There's a lot I want to say around this. I'm not going to go into it because. But there were outside forces that were causing me stress. Lots of stress. And it wasn't just my own mind telling me lies. There were actual outside forces that were stressing me out. That could have been prevented if I was not in the situation. That's all I'm going to say. I got to a point this year where I think it was around the end, like right around finals, like when I was like, I'm about to get my degree. I can't believe I'm finally going to graduate college, with still battling this anxiety constantly. Like I was so proud of myself. And then I graduated, and then this part is so important, but it's also something I feel like I can't tell you guys. I'm so frustrated. Okay, I'm gonna try my best. K-PopCon USA, K-PopCon Miami was like an issue. A lot of you might know that the video I uploaded from our performance in Miami, I had written in the description of that video that I had a panic attack on stage, which I'd never had happen to me before ever. So I was really concerned about where all this extra stress was coming from, because normally I enjoyed dancing. Normally I felt good and excited and happy covering these dances, but I had a panic attack on stage, forgot my moves. I ended up taking the video down, so if you're gonna go look for it, it's not there anymore. A lot of people said they didn't notice. Some people said they just thought I looked like I was getting tired, which it does kind of look like I'm just dancing like I'm tired, but I like legitimately was getting tunnel vision on stage. hyperventilating. I felt like my brain was going to explode. My heart was pounding harder than I think I've ever felt it pound. It was a horrible moment. I was this close to just walking off stage in the middle of the performance. Like, this fucking close. And I'm proud of myself for not walking off. I'm proud of myself for staying on the stage, even if I didn't dance well at the end because of it. I'm just proud that I was able to do that because it was severe. I didn't have a ton of support in Miami. Just leave it at that. And when I got back, less and less and less and less support leading up to KCON. I'm just kind of glaze over all this because I know you guys want to know about it, but I swear to God, I don't think that I should be the one talking about it. I don't think that, it's not needed. As it pertains to my anxiety, I'll try to explain that. The month of July was one of the worst months of my life. My 25th birthday, which was June 21st, stays as the worst day of my life ever. It's going to be hard to beat my 25th birthday. That was the day I flew back from Miami and had a panic attack getting on the plane, ran off the plane, had to take a later flight, and then proceeded to have, like, I swear to God, I don't know what you'd call it. Not an anxiety. Like, you know how I said my anxiety is usually like, oh, I'm really anxious all day. Oh, panic attack. Oh, I'm back down to regular anxiety. But, like, this day, because I was flying most of the day, it was like my anxiety was, like, literally, like, borderline panic, almost panic, like down to normal, almost panic. It was so high all day that by the time I got off the plane, I pretty much collapsed from exhaustion. Because it's like when your anxiety's that high, it's like your adrenaline is high for hours. It was like 5 hours straight that I was literally feeling like I wanted to die. And my body couldn't handle it anymore. And I was so fucking tired. I didn't sleep the night before, and I was looking at my clock constantly on the flight, and I didn't think I was going to make it. I really didn't. And I just kept telling myself, like, Heather, if you have a panic attack on the plane right now, your body's not going to be able to handle it, and you're just going to die on the plane. It was horrible. It was horrible. And I had no support that day. And when I got home, I finally came back home to my family, who actually did support me and made me feel a lot better. And I was just so thankful. Because I felt so alone, so fucking alone for the next month up until KCON. I felt like I had nothing and nobody that understood the way I felt. And there was nothing I could do. I did my best. I did my absolute best. I really did. In July, I started binge eating and throwing up. And so I don't do it anymore. Don't worry. But during the whole month of July, pretty much, I would only feel happy when I was eating. And then after I was done eating, I would realize how much I just ate, and I would immediately try to throw it up. You know, sometimes I was able to, sometimes I wasn't, and then I would just cry about it. And during all that month, I would still get comments and messages saying, please make a workout video, please make a diet video, your body's amazing. And I was so thankful for those messages, but I would just be like, if only they knew what I did to my body right now. If only they knew that I would just eat tons and tons of chocolate and then throw it right back up. They wouldn't be saying, oh, I want your body so bad. I wish I knew what's your secret. I was just really depressed in July. That's the only time my depression got, I would say, severe, was right before KCON. I hardly practiced for KCON. If you look at any video of me performing at KCON, you'll probably notice, like, wow, why does Heather suck so much? What's wrong with her? I didn't practice. I couldn't get off the couch. Couldn't motivate myself to do anything. I just I just tried to get by, I guess. I was anxious and I was depressed, so the mixture was really tough to deal with. Now I want to talk about this next little part of my life, basically my move to Los Angeles and what that's done for me. Moving from Arizona to Los Angeles has helped me and my anxiety so much. So much. There was baggage here that I needed to leave behind. Family-wise, friends-wise, boyfriend-wise, self-wise. I felt like leaving this city, I was leaving behind my past, and I needed that to be behind me. So I moved to Los Angeles. I've made new friends. I've started a new life. I got a new job. And I really needed it because I slowly felt myself getting less and less depressed. Now, I know in November I made a post saying I was not doing so well. That was, I don't know. I don't know what that was. It was just, I just, you know, I just fell into another kind of depressive episode that I needed to take care of. But I can tell you right now, this video is probably so long, I have no idea how long it is at this point. If you've gotten this far in the video, good job. Now I want to get to the things that I really want to make sure that you understand. And the whole point of making this video, besides the fact that I'm sure a lot of you wanted to know my story, my anxiety story. Your thoughts are so important. Your thoughts are who you are. If you think constantly, I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared, you're going to feel nothing but scared. If you think something, even if you don't believe it fully, if you think or if you say out loud, I'm strong, I can get through this, everything's fine, I've gotten through before, I'm totally fine, and you think that, you'll be fine. And I realized that slowly, it goes with, I mean, it doesn't cure depression, it doesn't cure your anxiety, but my God, it helps. It helped me so much because I got away from my past life. There was a lot of baggage that I don't want to talk about. But, you know, like family stuff and just God. But I didn't realize how much I was stressing myself out though. I was telling myself, you know, wow, Heather, everybody hates you. Everybody just hates you so much. Like you're a piece of crap. You're so fat. You're so ugly. Your skin is so terrible. Like even though I was getting so many great comments on YouTube from you guys saying I was a great dancer, that I was so pretty, that I have a great body, and that you look up to me, and I'm just like, I would get comments about that and I would feel so terrible because I'm like, I feel like I'm lying to you guys almost because you don't know how much I actually do suffer just like you. I just hide it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with hiding it. There's a fluff in there. There's nothing wrong with hiding it. I wanted to project an image of strength to you guys. That's what I wanted. Now I'm at a point where I feel stronger than I ever have. I feel like I'm not just projecting the image of strength. I feel like I am strong. I feel like I am no longer depressed and I don't hate myself. I don't think I'm fat. I don't think I'm ugly. I don't think I'm a burden. And that was something I really struggled with for a while. I'm a burden. I'm a burden on everyone I meet. I'm really not. I'm really not. You just have to find people, the right people. And you'll understand that. I was really hard on myself, saying, you know, if I ever had anxiety or had to leave the room or something, I was never I was never a burden. I know that I wasn't, but I told myself I was. And now I'm telling myself that I'm not. So I'm not. I know I'm much stronger now. And although I may get an anxiety attack here and there now, I would say I probably get a panic attack once every 2 or 3 weeks, maybe. Instead of once or 3 times a day, what it used to be. Because I've really been trying to incorporate positive thinking. I've realized how important it is to think the right thoughts. Because when a thought enters your head, you don't have to continue thinking it. That's what people don't understand. If you start thinking like, oh man, I feel really bad right now, and I just feel like such a burden, everyone hates me. Once you start feeling that way and realizing that you're thinking those thoughts, it's when you immediately tell yourself that is a lie. That is a lie, because anxiety lies to you. Anxiety lies to you. You are not a burden. You're not stupid. You're not ugly. You're just not. Your brain is telling you that you're all these things, and you're assuming. But if you start thinking positively, you'll realize that the right people are going to come into your life, and they're going to accept you for who you are, your flaws, and people will see the positive thinking that you're doing, and they'll be attracted to that. You know how you just notice somebody with a great aura around them and you're attracted to it. You want to be around that. That's what I'm talking about. I'm probably kind of rambling right now, but if I can just get through to even like one person that despite how bad your anxiety might be right now, it will get better, I'll be happy. I don't want you to think that you're just going to be anxious forever and this is your life. You're just a worrier. You're just an anxious person and you're always going to be having these panic attacks, because that's what I used to think. I used to think, everyone hates me. Nobody, like, I felt so alone and misunderstood and sad and scared. And I just slowly told myself, it's going to be okay. You're fine. You are completely fine. So it's a continuing battle with the anxiety, but I can tell you right now it's so much better. And I want you guys to know that it's so much better. I don't want you to worry about me or anything. I will admit every now and then I still do get an anxiety attack during filming. And funny enough, if you go through pretty much any dance I did during 2014 or the first half of 2015, first 3 quarters of 2015 probably, pretty much until I moved to LA, I'd say almost every single one of those dance covers I had some kind of anxiety during filming. It's just messed up to think about that. Like, I just allowed that to happen. But it's because I would feel the adrenaline and I'd be like, oh my gosh, it's a panic attack, because it feels like a panic attack. Adrenaline is adrenaline in my body. I was just like, oh my gosh, must be a panic attack, because that's how my brain worked back then. And I'm starting to realize, like, no, Heather, it's adrenaline because you're working out, you're moving, you're exercising, you're dancing. You're supposed to feel adrenaline. That's normal. And so I'm learning. I think that's the whole story. I know this is super candid, super long. Thank you for watching. If you stuck through it, thank you for watching. I hope that nothing that I said came off wrong. If you have any questions, please ask me. I'll try my best to answer them. Yeah. That's it. Yeah, that's the story. Here I am now.